Oops. All right. Hello, everybody. We are, thank you for attending this town hall meeting. Love to see everybody joining us every day. I think we are either already or getting into Facebook Live also for the people who cannot be directly on Zoom. Every day we are sharing something new, something very relevant to the profession, something that can make a difference in your practices right here, right now. As you remember, the topic that I discussed yesterday, which I believe it's very important, especially to private practice owners, I talked about finances. Finances really can make or break a business. At this very moment, they can be, the proper handling of finances can be decisive in the ability of you to maintain your business or not, to be able to continue operating or not. So yesterday I discussed about how you have to look into finances in regards to money that you are going to receive from past services, and how you can apply the principle of burn cash or burn rate into utilizing past revenue in an appropriate manner for future that you will not be making perhaps as much money as you were making before, okay? Because the last thing you want is all of a sudden to have to come up in the next few months with tens of thousands of dollars the moment that you are not generating these tens of thousands of dollars. So I think this is very, very important. Now, today we have invited to join us to discuss additional financial tips, the 3 most important things that every private practice should be doing right now, and the things that they should not be doing right now. We have invited Eric Miller, but before I even introduce Eric, I want to tell you guys that I had a few moments ago actually a meeting with Eric, and I was telling him that both Kostas and I, my business partner and I, we are so happy that Eric and his company Econologics, they are in our lives because they have made a huge difference for us into the type of financial situation we are in right now. If we did not have this advice and planning from them, right now we would be trying to figure things out, and it wouldn't be really a pretty picture. But we have a greater level of comfort right now because of the advice we have received from them. So I am going to have Eric take it over. And Eric, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And really, the first question I want to ask you is, what are really the 3 top things that a private practice owner should be doing right now with the finances of the practice?
Okay, thanks, Demi. I'll get right into it. The first thing is that you need to establish some certainty. And when I say that is that, you know, right now a lot of us practice owners are in a state of confusion because there's just so many I don't knows that are happening so fast. So when I say, you want to avoid financial confusion, you have to find out and establish exactly where you are financially. That means that you have to know exactly what you have. Just like you said, coming in accounts receivable, you have to know how much, you have to know where your liquidity is. So you have to, make sure that you're looking at all your open credit lines. You have to know if you need additional credit lines, then, I would be in the process of getting that. Look at your current investments that you have. Many people have liquidity in certain investment vehicles that they may not even know. So I think that the first thing that I would do is just understand your liquidity and where you have access to cash or access to credit if you should need it. Certainly making sure you understand your expenses and knowing what your make break would be at this point in time would be another part of that, just clearing up all those uncertainties. So that would be number one, just whatever you can do to clear up any uncertainties about your finance. I would write everything on a piece of paper, anything that you're not certain about, and just get it out of your head, get it on a piece of paper, and that way you can attack it from there. The second thing that I would say is this, you have three roles as a business owner. You have the owner role, the executive role, and the practitioner role, many of you. Right now, your first responsibility is the owner role, and the main responsibility of the owner is making sure that the organization is there and can stay there. So whatever needs to be done in terms of making sure the organization can stay there, that would certainly be the next thing that I would do. Now, what does that mean? Well, obviously, a lot of us have had to make a lot of decisions here recently about staff, because that's, in a PT practice, that's your largest expense by far. Anywhere between 50 and 55% of your cost is going to be your staff. And there's just no way that many of you, unless you have 3 or 4 months already set aside of liquidity, that you're going to be able to carry that much. And you have to kind of be proactive about this, because again, there is a lag of when you treat a patient of when you collect the money. So you really have to start thinking ahead in terms of, what can I do to operate on a skeleton crew, still servicing my patients, still trying to at least bring enough people in production wise where I can cover my basics. That's where I would have my attention right now, is just try to operate on a skeleton crew, and then see how you can then slowly bring people back as long as the caseload warrants you being able to do that. And then the third thing I would do, and I know this sounds kind of simple, but, and again, just make sure that you're doing the right thing. And what I mean by that is, when we get into this state of anxiety and franticness, and there's a tendency where we may cut corners, or we may use bad judgment. So there's nothing worse than putting your own personal integrity at stake. So I would just make sure that as you're operating your finances and your business, just make sure that you're doing the right thing, and because that will always pay off in the end. So I'm sure I can think of a lot more things right now, but those are three things right off the top of my
Eric,
head.
thank you for that. Here is an important question, I believe. We have already in many states, SBA, the Small Business Administration, has announced the ability for private practices to receive funding, in some cases low interest, or sometimes no interest, as well as in cases where they have less than 5 employees, they may even get a grant to cover 40% of their payroll. Mm-hmm. Also, the information we have is that after the Senate approved the $2 trillion bill, which will be voted most likely from the Congress on Friday, and will go on the president's desk later on Friday or Saturday, will wake up on Monday morning, next Monday morning, with the possibility of additional funding for small businesses, okay?
Yeah.
So we don't know all of the details of that additional funding yet. But my question to you, what are the things we have to be careful about when we are acquiring such funding? What are the things we have to be aware of and mistakes to avoid when we are applying or obtaining such funding?
Yeah, I mean, I just posted on this, and you know, again, and I'll reiterate this, you keeping the business there is your first responsibility, and you're going to have to do whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that you keep that business there. That being said, I get very weary of a lot of the government programs and lending programs that they offer, because quite frankly, I don't know, the devil's in the details on these things, and they rush it out so fast, and they, you know, I don't know if people even have time to read exactly what the stipulations would be, that you know, I don't know exactly what that beholdens you to when you take the money. So I'm not telling people not to do it. I'm not telling people not to apply for it. I just want you to just definitely be careful when you're looking at these relief loans, that you understand exactly what you're getting yourself into. For me, what I would try to do at all costs is, again, to operate as leanly as possible, and simply try to outproduce your way out of this, and see if there's any other areas of credit that you can find that necessarily wouldn't, you know, either a home equity line of credit, or, you know, if people have like cash value insurance policies, you can borrow against those. So any other sources of credit that you can look for. I want to be very careful. Again, I don't want to tell you not to do it, but I don't know exactly what they put into those things as far as what that beholdens you to as far as the loan is concerned. They look great up front, right? They say they're going to be, you know, 0%. They'll be deferred for a period of time. You know, there may even be some forgiveness aspect to it at some point, but, you know, at the end of the day, who would carry the bag on a forgiveness loan? Well, it's the taxpayers do. So anyway, I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but I just want to make sure that people are careful before they sign their name on something, so they really understand what it is that they're signing, and what kind of credit they're accessing.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I was looking for. And also, another thing that I kind of looked at some of the fine lines is that when you apply, at least for the type of SBAs that they have right now, from the moment you put in your application, the funds will not become necessarily available for another 60 to 90 days.
Yeah.
And at that time, there might be limitations as to how you can use these funds. So you really have to read the application and going through the process. I mean, yes, funding is good, but at the end of the day, when this is all said and done, you don't want to overextend your, the borrowing to the point that you cannot pay it. And actually, let me jump, if you don't mind, Eric, for a moment to Costas and ask him this. What we have been trying to do in our business is to kind of trying to keep expense, even payroll, in terms of projected production. So Costas, if you can just go over how we do that and what we are looking at, that would be great.
Right. And again, I want to add on here that we are in a different situation than many other businesses. And the reason for that is the AR. So physical therapists, they have this AR, which is a beautiful thing to have right now, the accounts receivable. So all of us somehow are going to be receiving money for the next month or two from previous work. Now, this is awesome as far as you don't touch that. You know, our goal with Dimi is to put this money on the side, save all the AR, whatever money comes, put it on the side and use it for the return. When everything comes back to normal, we're going to have this amount of money to capitalize on for the first month or two, so we can start the business again. But for this to happen, what we are working on right now is try to reset in a way our P&L. We're resetting, okay, what is our new expenses and what is the possible income based on those expenses, based on the danger that we're going through, statistics of totally, you know, crashing, right? All of us. I mean, we went from 500 appointments down to 150 or 100 a week ago. Now we're start climbing, going upwards because we're introducing the telemedicine. And we try to keep together a group of PTs and supportive personnel. So at least the expense of this group, it's not going to be more than the income from those treatments. So that's what we try to manage right now.
Thank you, Kostas. That's really great.
If I can add, Demi,
yes,
that's, I think, you know, and I've been talking to, I mean, I think I've had 1,000 conversations with practice owners in the last 2 weeks. That to me is the most successful action, what Kostas just said right there, that I see amongst a lot of practice owners. Just paying attention to your income, calculating a new quote unquote make break number, making sure that you look at reserves now as holy water, and really make sure that you're adjusting what your income needs to be, and really formulating that plan, being proactive around it. The name right now is speed. And I was going to say one more thing on, you know, as far as like getting the loans. That's, I mean, right now things are moving so fast. You know, in 90 days you could be bankrupt. So you really have to move fast right now, and speed is the key. Money loves speed. So I would do everything we could to increase that, you know, the speed of what you're doing right now, including production.
Awesome. And I'm gonna ask if anybody has any question, please unmute your mic and you can ask your question, or you can type your question. And as you do that, I want to add one more thing, that one of the things, guys, that we are doing, I mean, really right now, we are surviving as a business because of 4 reasons. Reason number 1, because we have still our office open and we try to get appointments of patients as much as possible, since we're being considered an essential medical service. Reason number 2 that we survive, and I believe we're doing okay in that area, is because we have a pretty good conversion thus far on tele-PT services, and we're aiming to really capitalize on that a lot more. Reason number 3, because we happen to have a very strong diagnostic business where we perform electromyography, nerve conduction studies, musculoskeletal ultrasound to patients, not only in our office, but also to outside physicians, especially family medicine, internal medicine, and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, this coming Tuesday, I am going to give a webinar. I'm putting the link for you guys to look at it. I'm going to discuss with Kostas next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern, how specifically we are implementing the diagnostic testing business. But those of you who want to take a look on this, there is a tremendous opportunity right now, because there was the executive board of Hands-On Diagnostics that provides all this training, made a decision essentially that we can bring everybody who wants to obtain this training with an initial payment of just $5,000, okay? So you have a tremendous opportunity now if you are sitting around at home or if your business is low to jump into a training program where you can be able within 30 days from the moment you start the training, and we are training people right now, you can be able to implement and start doing some of this and supplement significantly your revenue. And of course, the fourth reason that we are implementing right now, the fourth thing is managing our expenses, managing our mortgages, rents, other fixed expenses. We try to reduce them with negotiations and definitely reducing substantially our variable expenses. Okay, good. Eric, thank you for posting that too. All right. So any questions, anyone? Just, you know, unmute your mic and ask your questions. Or any question you guys want to post, you can type it in. Yeah, go ahead, Gail.
Yeah, I have a question about the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. I just heard that yesterday on a webinar, and it's talking about paying employees even though they either have the coronavirus themselves or they're taking care of children that are out of school, and just what is our responsibility with that?
Yeah. What state are you in?
Connecticut.
Okay. All right. I don't know if anybody else has data on that. I have some data I can respond. The information that I have is that specific states, they have mandatory FMLA for employers that they must provide to employees. And in a monthly basis, you pay an FMLA insurance to cover such things. So the money, the payment doesn't come in an equivalent fashion of the salary from your own pocket at the time that the employee goes on a family absence, okay? You pay an insurance money every month to cover that expense when that happens. This is the information I have, and I can tell you probably this is not going to be, Gail, the same across the nation. Every state will have a different policy. So my suggestion is search for your labor department in your state and go to the labor department's website and search for that to find out information about that. You know, there was quite a bit of disagreement in this $2 trillion bill that is coming out, because one of the things that the bill is doing is it is adding in the weekly amount of unemployment insurance or furlough, it is adding an additional $600 per week. So, for example, here in New York, I think the maximum that somebody can receive for unemployment is $504 per week. And if you add that, if you add another $600 to that, it comes to about $1,100. So if you multiply that by 4 weeks, it comes to over $4,000 a month. So it is possible that you have employees that they were making less than $4,000 a month, and now they will be making at least that amount, at least for the state of New York I'm talking about. So there was some debate about, okay, how do you account about the fact that some people now will be making more money in unemployment than not? And that has to do also with the work ethic, and this is a temporary thing for 4 months, then people will have to work no matter what. Okay, hi all. Does anyone know if regular codes like 97110 will be reimbursed with telehealth therapy? The answer to that is that yes, the regular physical therapy codes apply to telehealth, and they apply for those insurance companies that do pay for telehealth. All right. Now, of course, Medicare has different guidelines for that. We are planning actually next Wednesday to have a webinar that will be addressing actually the entire billing of telehealth. It's happening next Wednesday, the April 1st at 6 p.m. Eastern. And what I'm going to do for you right now, I am going to just post the registration for that webinar on the billing of telehealth. We are going to have with us Robert Kowalik, who had his entire staff call every single insurance plan around the country to find out the benefits of telehealth. So we'll have him with us next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. All right, Gregory says, in New York, what private commercial plans that you know of will reimburse telehealth? That is a great question. My suggestion is for you to go, first of all, to www.covid19ptforum.com, and you'll be able to get the webinar we did about this topic. But for a quick answer to you, I am posting for you in the chat right now all of the homework we have done and what we have found out about New York. So there you go. I just posted it in the chat. Then we have from Janine, we were just advised to hold our telehealth codes for a week until the bill passes tomorrow and the changes go into effect. That will affect the telehealth. Have you had any success with receiving payments so far? We just started billing for telehealth, so I'm not gonna know much about the actual reimbursement for another 2 weeks. Hello there, are the follow-ups in reference to telemedicine rehab? Are the follow-ups? Oh, I'm sorry, that is what I posted. That's my posting, okay. All right, okay. What other questions you guys might have? Any other question, please go ahead and ask. We're in a mission here. All right, let me, you know what? Here is what I'm gonna do. Cindy Prentice, Cindy, you know what? If you don't mind, you're a HUD's partner also. How are you doing? What are you doing in your office? Tell us some of the things you are doing.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, Cindy, we can.
Okay, because I'm driving. So what are we doing? We're doing lots of stuff. This is my probably 6th webinar. I do about 2 a day. And if I'm working, the one you did on Saturday was 3 hours long. I did it till 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday night. So I feel like the more information you get, the better, because I'm also women's health, scoliosis. So I feel like this is a real excitement for me because I feel like there's so much we could be doing with all of this. We've already started doing telehealth. I'm still open. I have 3 offices actively running right now. We've had to, of course, the people who are the most busy are the specialists. So the women's health specialists, because there's a lot of manual work for that. So we have to do in office. We're still working with that. And scoliosis, although I think that's a big, big telehealth thing. I'm really excited about doing it. So some of the staff voluntarily, we sent something out a couple of weeks ago when this really started and said who wants to come in or not. And really the younger ones, the aides, their parents didn't want them in. I had one elderly employee, she said she wasn't coming in. Unfortunately, she did it from the parking lot during her shift. That was bad. Her family said, if you go into work, I'm dragging you out of there. It was amusing retrospectively, but not during. So right now, my staff cut themselves down. I didn't have to let anybody go. We're trying to make it so that one therapist voluntarily had quit. Coincidentally, when this started, I was like, thank you. I'm sure that she's not really working right now. I'm sorry for her. But so that really worked out for my pocket. So right now, I'm actually heading into one of my offices where I am busy on my schedule, and in between, I have some telehealth that I'm doing during. But I keep trying to explain to them, I don't want them to book those during the in-clinic patients. I want to do those at different times and have other therapists that aren't working do them. The answers to some of those questions that we're saying, do you bill, don't you bill, do you hold it off? Like, I feel like every day is a different answer. That's why these town hall meetings are amazing.
Yep.
Different forums say different things. I would love for you to tell me, can we or can we not do evaluations on telehealth? I've gotten mixed things about that as well. I know that I want my staff to be trained by you guys. I said yesterday after last night's meeting that everybody has to sign up to do the training for telehealth. I think it's really important, even if it's not truly an eval, even if it's a re-eval or a reassessment. I just think all I can tell you guys is just learn what you need as basic and just do it. I did a practice one in my facility with a patient who was in there, and I sat in my office and I realized, oh my goodness, I need to prepare before I tell them to telehealth. I needed to tell them they have to have mirrors if there's scoliosis, where they need to be. Maybe another person needs to be holding their phone because they're not only going to be sitting. Do they need pillows? Do they need chairs? Where they need to be? Because I feel like we do so many things with, at least I do. I talk a lot, but I do a lot with my hands. And when I couldn't use my hands, I kept finding myself running out to the facility to the person to go, wait, I need this. Wait, I need that. So you need to practice before you get online with these people. But you know what? Do it with people that you're comfortable with. That's all I can say.
Thank you, Cindy. That's awesome, girl. And
yeah.
just mute your mic. Okay, good. And guys, I mean, again, you know, I don't want these town halls to be a sales pitch for our product. Okay, I don't want it to be that way. But you know what? Here is what I'm saying. We hands-on seminars does have a course, a training course on how to get on telehealth. It teaches you how to do an evaluation, the special tests you do, what you do with the patient, and so on and so forth. But please, anybody who is attending these town hall meetings, any resources that you have, or you know, or you are applying, please post them. This is a free forum. We're not, we have different businesses, and one of our businesses is in the education area. But please, it doesn't matter. Everybody put in your info out there. Clarification from Medicare, Janine, what was said yesterday in the telehealth webinar from one of the participants, and I said I will not make a public announcement on that without me checking personally. It was wrong data. That's why I'm telling you, we have to check the data. Don't just accept information from everybody. Well, that person yesterday posted that he had information that the president had signed an executive order to have physical therapy telehealth approved. Well, that was wrong, okay? The executive order was the one that was signed the 17th of March or 18th of March, something like that, which allowed the e-visit, but not telehealth, not full telehealth, okay? So that has not passed yet. And Cindy, let me see who posted that. Cindy Johnson, in regards to converting telehealth for cash pay, yes, I'll see either in tomorrow's town hall meeting or on Saturday's town hall meeting. We're going to address that. We're going to address the conversion to cash. Okay, I'm looking at a guest to discuss about marketing the telehealth probably tomorrow. If that doesn't pan out, then we'll address the converting for cash tomorrow in tomorrow's meeting. I was wondering if there are any resources applied to European laws, although I assume this is not possible. I'm a physio from Athens, Greece, and all what you say is for the US. That is from Elias Tolios. Elias, first of all, thank you so much for participating on this. Look, I don't know the laws and regulations in Greece, okay? Yesterday in the TelePT, we had people from different countries around the world who were attending this. And this is what I said, okay? We don't know the laws and regulations that are specific there, but I encourage everybody who is joining this from an international destination. I say, you guys know what? We have resources that you can get from us. We have the TelePT platform. We have the TelePT course. We have other resources, forms for patients, stuff like that. Take this information and create. You go and you become the telehealth gurus in your country. Go and become, come and take our diagnostic testing program, and you go and become the diagnostic testing specialist and guru in your country. You see, the idea, just the mere idea, Elias, that you are not sitting around, you know, feeling like a victim, feeling like, oh my God, what happened to me? There is nothing, but you are looking out there for resources. This is amazing, my friend, and very well done. Kudos to you.
If you don't mind, Dimitrios, so that's for Elia and for everybody else. Again, the only way out from any predicament of this kind is action. Okay, the more we move, the more we can cause something. And the other thing, guys, the big word right here is change. That's the word that characterizes everything. We're living the period or the years of change. Now, when there is change, that translates to change of culture. Our culture is going to change whether we like it or not. So we cannot operate with all methods, all techniques, all ideas. But for a culture to change, you need permission from the public. So how do you get permission from the public? By educating the public. So Elias, educate the public, make a phone call to your patients, just keep contact, and things are gonna go the way they're supposed to go.
All right, that's awesome. Eric Miller, any final words from you before we close today?
I think I said this, I've said it a couple times, you know, a lot of people are facing the prospect that they're going to have to close their doors, maybe, you know, shut their businesses down. But, you know, you really only lose something when you don't feel like you can create it again. And, you know, everyone here knows how to create a business. So, you know, even if you face that prospect, you know, you can always create it again.
Awesome. Eric Miller, thank you so much. And well, we rely on you to join us again. Sure. Because things will be evolving. To the rest of you guys, keep creating every day, keep making a difference, and see you all tomorrow. Take care.
Bye, Demi.
Bye.